Hi guys, my name is Dominey Drew, and I'm a relationship coach who specializes in relationship with self, and specifically helping high performance and high powered individuals to increase performance and impact and their happiness level, most important of all, through improving their relationship with themselves. And I want to talk to you a little bit about one of the last blocks that I managed to break through using the work that I now teach. I talk a lot about when I started out and the mess of insecurities and overweight and just kind of self-hatred that I was then. And all of that has melted. All of that is gone. And it's also important that I want you to know that it doesn't need to take years and years for this to happen, okay? I'm able to get results from my clients a lot more quickly than I got them for myself, which is great. That's the evolution, right, of how it kind of works. So I was able to clear a lot of those issues early on, and I got to a really decent, probably by my late 20s, so maybe a decade into the work for me. Mind you, I started very, very young. But I was really able to find a level of reasonable happiness probably around late 20s. Well, when I started this business, I was in my early 30s, and I had blocks around success. And obviously, I didn't know that I had those blocks, except that I kept seeing everything I tried to do business-wise and financially fail, right? Maybe that's not specifically your problem. If you're already very successful, you're a high-powered CEO, et cetera, that's great. Success isn't financial. Success means achieving what you want, period. So if you are, you have all the money in the world, but you probably don't have all of it. If you have plenty of money, but your relationships are sticky, or maybe everything in your life is going perfectly, but you're still not happy. Some people get everything that they want and still feel empty inside. Guess where the source of that problem is? Relationship with self. So success for me was around my purpose. It was around setting up this particular business, actually, success story, and getting the word out of what I now teach, which is, I genuinely want the world to know that every problem they experience is fixable and it doesn't need to take 10 years, right? And the answer is within. And that's true on every level, on the spiritual, yes, also on the psychological, the mental, the emotional, the physical, the energetic. And so, your entire human system is involved in this. And the way I'm able to get results for people so quickly is because I work on the entire system at once. Okay, so if you go to a therapist and you talk about your issue, they're going to address it on the psychological and the mental levels, which is great because some issues do reside there. Oftentimes, though, what they're dealing with is what looks like a mental issue, but actually it's the mental symptom of a deeper issue, right? The source doesn't lie in the mind, like a lot of the time, right? Because you're more than just a mental psychological being, right? You have a physical body and you have these other layers. And so when you experience an issue, you'll tend to experience that issue on all your levels. So I work on all of them at once, and that really highly, highly accelerates the process, which is, really rewarding to see your results so quickly. So when I was starting my business, I started coming up against all this success shit, right? I didn't really know that I had exactly. I probably had some ideas about it, but ideas don't really fix it, right? I was very smart about my problem, but that didn't actually fix it. Why? Because the problem wasn't sourced here. I had to really embody it and really experience, what the issue was, and then of course it cleared. So as I did this, I came across a couple of issues that I thought I would share with you in case you're experiencing something similar. So whatever success is for you, right, and redefining that on the regular is very, very important. This is about you reaching that. And so for me, one of the things was I was afraid of getting what I wanted, okay? I had an underlying childhood belief from when I was very young that said something like, I can't have what I want, okay? Actually, to be a little transparent with you, my parents divorced when I was about 7. And I remember, and I imagine this is probably the source of this issue or belief, that when I spoke to a therapist. I remember somebody sitting with me and saying, would you like to live with your mother or your father? And I remember, I wasn't conscious of it at the time, but as I look back, I can see this split happen. Like, because how the fuck do you answer that question? You know, at any age, let alone 7, right? I had no idea. I wanted both. And I wonder now if I even said that in the moment. I'm curious. But I couldn't have that. I couldn't have what my soul, my heart knew it needed, right? And so a deep belief formed in that moment. Sorry, wasn't planning on going there, but I'm just sort of letting this come through rather authentically. So as I grew up, I manifested that a lot, right? I got some things that I wanted, but I couldn't have the things I really wanted, right? I was like the second place kid. You know, I could do well, but I couldn't like go off the charts, right? I could compete at the high levels. I was an equestrian for 25 years. I could compete at the high levels, but I couldn't win at the high levels, right? And so I lived a very sort of almost type of life in a lot of ways. And it came down to sabotaging my business as well. So I had this real fear of success. I was so used to my world, my body, my mind, my sense of self, my identity was built on I can't have what I want. It was built on that being true. If that wasn't true, I didn't know who I was. And this is something that keeps a lot of us stuck. We make out of a misconception, we make a decision early on. I can't have what I want. Here's who I am. Nobody likes me. I'm not good enough, right? And on top of that, you build who you are. Every car you buy, every dog you choose, every outfit you purchase. Those are all coming through this belief. They are all colored by that lens that you're seeing through, the screen that you're seeing through that says, I can't have what I want. So when it came time to face this with my business, I wasn't willing to let it go, perfectly honest, because I incarnated to do this work. I am phenomenal at it. Like, I'm weirdly good at what I do. And I knew I wanted to do it on a global scale. So I came to this point where I couldn't back down. You know, I had to rise. And so I came through it, and I had to picture and risk a huge amount, what felt like death, really, because who am I if this thing that has always been true is no longer true? So I leveled up hardcore through that process. Another thing I came up against was what my family would think of me if I became successful. Now, this one I had no idea about. I will not even lie. I think I came on this with a healer, a session that I was a client in, and it was something about the changing of family roles, like the role that I play in the family. I'm the youngest of my siblings, and I was always kind of like, I was always the one that was wrong. I do remember that. I won't say like I was always the mess up exactly, but I wasn't like, you know, a high-powered businesswoman. I was like kind of like a forgetful kid. You know, I have really bad ADD that is, you know, almost entirely gone as well. And so those symptoms sort of led me to have this kind of role in my kind of family unit, in my family structure. And so I had to let go of that. I had to be like, okay, well, you know, if I suddenly become wildly successful, what might that mean, right? I will be someone else. And there's sort of a little bit underneath there about like, what if they don't love me anymore and things like that. So, and a number of things come down to this when you come up against these beliefs. First, you have to find them. You have to realize that you're carrying these things around. And that's what I can help you do very, very, very quickly. And once you're aware of it, it's a game changer, right? Once I saw that belief, I was like, oh, you know, I'm an adult now. From an adult perspective, because remember, all of these formed in childhood when my family's love meant survival. Now, those two things are no longer linked. I certainly want their love. I no longer need it the way that I did. I'm no longer desperate and dependent on it. Make sense? So those are just two examples of things that I had to get through to achieve my definition of success. And yes, for me, that has been financial, and I've been very successful in that area. It's also, for me, a lot about freedom. I want to be able to live the life that I want and do it the way that I like. I've created my entire business that way. It is around being able to go to a new country if I want to, and I set up shop there. And right now I'm in Vancouver, I'm in Canada. And so I'm I've lived this kind of like extraordinary, traveling, exploring type of life. And that's nourishing to my soul. I need that in order to, be lit up and show up the way I need to for my clients. So I hope that is helpful. Please tell me your thoughts in the comments below. If you're interested in exploring working with me, I would love for you to schedule a free call. The link should be below in this video. If not, you can find it on my website, DomineyDrew.com. And meanwhile, please subscribe, like this video, and share it to anybody that you think might benefit from a little success in their lives. Thanks so much for joining me.